Rotary certainly has some membership challenges. However, there are people who are thinking creatively and seeing membership growth. We're going to talk to these inventive Rotarians and get some tips that you can try. Welcome to the Innovative Clubs videocast. Hey folks, welcome to the Innovative Club videocasts. This new episode is featuring my good friend Marie Howard. She's immediate past district governor in District 7710. Welcome, Marie.
Thanks, Andy. Great to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. So we were talking the other day, and you have helped to shepherd in a club with a specific mission focus. Let's talk about that a little bit and why you wanted to start a club like that.
Well, thank you. So last year, at the beginning of this year, actually, calendar year, I was district governor. And at the point we were in COVID, and then we had the very unfortunate, tragic death of George Floyd. As a result of that unexpected death, I've received all kinds of queries from the district. How will Rotary respond? What was the leadership doing? What is Rotary's position? And to be frank, my initial reaction was, well, this isn't a district thing. You know, clubs do their own thing. I'm not sure that the district should have an opinion. But I quickly changed because Rotary is all about peace and conflict prevention and resolution. So as a result of some thought, I said, okay, let's do something. Let's start a club focused on social justice. And so it grew organically from that need to address the times. And it was actually an amazing experience. I had started other clubs, but this one literally just took off because of the times. I had just had a conversation with some zone leaders about how we could start these new innovative clubs. And in the course of that, I realized that we had fewer rules than I thought we did. So I stood back and said, okay, what could this club look like? And I laid out a game plan. And then I simply sent an email to the district and said, hey, anybody interested? And we had an organizational meeting within about a week, perhaps, of the concept starting. We had nearly 20 people on this call. And I laid out the concept. At that meeting, surprisingly enough, we identified a club chair, we identified a chair-elect, and a number of people said, yes, sign me up. Then about 2 weeks after that, we started meeting regularly. And we've decided to meet twice a month. Our meetings on paper are 90 minutes, an hour for the speaker and some time after that for club business. But the reality is we usually go about, 75 minutes or so. So this thing's been going for about 2 months. And at this point, we have 22 members, and it is actually very vibrant. So I'm excited about our progress.
Beautiful. So in that space, inside of the club meeting, do you, since it is a social justice club, is that the primary focus of the meeting? Is that what you have, speakers and topics? And what does that look like inside of those meetings?
Yeah, I think a number of us white folks realized that we needed to educate ourselves and to better appreciate what white privilege was and how it impacted not only us, but society as a whole. So the first few meetings we spent watching a play or reading a book or in other ways engaging with already published materials to better educate ourselves. And so we would have kind of a pre-study like college, and then we would have a seminar and we would discuss what we've learned and our reactions to it. And so obviously, because the topic is hard, we had to create an open and warm and comfortable space to have these discussions, which we have done. Those were the first 3 or 4 meetings. Now we are transitioning to programs where we have speakers, and we have several lined up, everything from League of Women Voters describing how voting is different during this year, to other speakers that deal with diversity, inclusion, or racial justice as part of their professional experience. So I'm excited. I mean, this club is really tackling this difficult subject in a way that makes it um, easy to grasp and to hopefully take some action.
That's awesome. Thank you. That sounds amazing.
Thank you.
So let's take a step back and talk a little bit about the process before your first official meeting. What did that, you kind of touched on that a little bit. Let's get a little bit more in the detail piece of that. So, somebody watching this, they have the idea of starting a cause-based type club, whether it's an e-club or something along those lines. What did that look like for you and your experience? And, talk through that process a little bit.
Sure. I actually have started 2 satellite clubs. I started a traditional club that meets every week and has a program every week. So that's kind of a traditional club. And then I started this one. They were very different experiences. So I'll explain how they each worked, because depending on the type of satellite you're going to start, you may have a different way that it happens. So the traditional club, I moved to the area. The area did not have a Rotary Club. I said, well, this cannot be. So I, I joined the largest club locally, and I said, you guys are a wonderful club, but you're not even in my same county. I would like to start a club here. Will you support me? They said yes, and they supported me financially as well as in Rotary knowledge. So they agreed to have experienced Rotarians attend the meeting. So we were able to, from conception to first meetings, took about maybe 60 days, and then we were chartered a month or so after that. So we went from concept to actual charter of a standalone club in about 18 months, 19 months. Okay, so there was a lot of legwork to start this traditional club. Contrast this to the e-club. I heard about how we could do things differently. I wrote down what I wanted this club to look like. I sent an email. We held a meeting. We made some decisions, got the officers in place, and bam, we're gone. That from the very first challenge to me as a district governor to do something to having this club going was less than 3 weeks. So the reason it was easy and that right now we've got 20 odd members is that we have an unusual membership category. We have normal active members, of course, but we also allow Rotarian affiliates. So these are people that are Rotarians in other clubs, but they have passion for this cause. So they said, okay, I will join your club, but it only costs them $25 a quarter. They pay their RIN district and club dues with their main club. This just gives the new social justice club a little bit of working capital, so we don't have to immediately fundraise to do some projects. So right now, 2 months into this process, we have almost everybody is a Rotarian affiliate, which as far as growing Rotary is not helping much, right? Because I only have a couple of brand new Rotarians. But what it is helping is providing expertise in the room. So we went from 0 to 100 very quickly. People that know what Rotary is, know how Rotary operates, and can get this show on the road, so to speak. So from that perspective, I thought it was very valuable to have these experienced Rotarians in the room. And in previous club startups, that has always been a weakness, I thought. You've got this room full of brand new Rotarians that don't know what they're doing and they need guidance. They don't even understand the possibilities that Rotary offers. And so this was a different aspect for me this time.
That's that's really interesting that you've gotten, and that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask as a follow-up was how many new Rotarians do you have? And I really like that perspective of, let's, especially in a cause-based type club and on this piece, um, it's really interesting that you brought in some seasoned Rotarians to that fold. Um, how would you do you see it as an opportunity to recruit non-Rotarians or previous Rotarians back into Rotary to be a part of this type of Rotary Club?
Yeah, we better, right? I mean, that's kind of the whole goal of this process, is to increase the number of people that see Rotary as a place to make a difference in the world. So yes, we do have a few. We've had some visitors and guests. So really now we're at the point that I think we're comfortable enough with our process and what we're doing that we feel that anybody new coming in will see that we're a legitimate and organized group as opposed to floundering. So we are having guests attend. So now we need to focus mostly on attracting these people that are not yet in Rotary.
Cool. Excellent. So talk a little about the recruitment piece. You know, how did you recruit people to attend, to join, to take part?
It literally was one email. And I'm not kidding, because I think it was the timing, right? That the time was right to us to deal with this issue. So, but it's ongoing, and we're continuing to have new people join every week that are existing Rotarians mostly. And so we're sending out newsletters and so forth. And a lot of it is through the Rotarians that are currently have decided to join the club, the Rotarian affiliate members. We have, the last I looked, Rotarians from probably a dozen different clubs. So they've got their networks which are different, right? As opposed to just in one existing club. So our reach is broader than it might otherwise be. So I think that while we aren't anywhere near where I would like us to be as far as attracting new members, I think we've got solid potential to do so in the relative near term.
Awesome. Did you find the host club was helpful, or was there a parent club to doing the e-club? Was that more of a district thing? How did that work?
Right. So I'm going to give you the experience on both sides of my
Please.
starting new clubs now. So when I moved to this new geography for me, again, there was no club in the community that I lived, but there was a very large club pretty close, but it happened to be in a different county. And so I approached them and said, would you support us? And I asked specifically both for money and people to support us. The board agreed for 2 years of support. They really were committed. It wasn't like, yeah, we'll help you for the first month. It is, we are in this process with you. And that was very important. The money was not so much for tchotchke like bells and banners. It was for Rotary education, going to pets, going to RLI, learning about Rotary, and a little bit of money to help us do some small projects. That was incredibly important for us to get started with that club with all new members. Now, this club, we've got all these experienced Rotarians. We are meeting virtually and we are not meeting in person. Our overhead is effectively nil. So we don't need financial support. And because we've got experienced Rotarians in the room, I don't need the parent club to give us any people either. Now, the parent club is my own club. So what is the one thing that the parent club must do, or the two things that the parent club must do for a satellite? They must have general oversight. So if there's conflict within the satellite, the parent club needs to help parent the satellite and help them, resolve any issues that they might have. Honestly, we've not had that in either experience that I've had, but that is one of the roles of the parent club. The other is the fiduciary responsibility. So the primary responsibility for the parent club truly is at the treasurer level. I'm the treasurer of the parent club. So I basically just gave myself more work, right? So, and am I kicking myself? A little bit, but hey, it's the price one pays. So no, it's fine. And honestly, that was the main work of my previous parent club too. It was on the treasurer. It wasn't on anybody else. He was the one that really had to spend more time.
Awesome. What were some obstacles, and you can refer to both instances, if you had any, what were some obstacles that you didn't expect going into either kicking off this e-club or the previous satellite slash and, full on club that you have started?
Right. So the traditional club had a weekly meeting. And so there was no Rotary Club, and there are actually no service clubs or civic clubs in this town, really. And so we approached the town leaders early on and said, you know, we'd like to start a Rotary Club. What do you think? And they embraced us completely, which was lovely. But this town doesn't have a lot of meeting spaces. And so we approached the town, said, you know, what can you do? And so they said, we will give you a meeting space free of charge. And we said, wonderful. And so we meet, by the way, first thing in the morning for this traditional club. And we don't have breakfast. It's a bring your own breakfast if you need to eat kind of environment. So the obstacle was, our first meeting place was the firehouse. They had a classroom there. That was great. But we had such a good time. We were rowdy and waking up the firemen, and they kicked us out. So then they kicked us to town hall and the commissioner's chambers, which was fine. But then we had to have somebody open the building because of security. So that made it difficult for, you know, more than one individual. And so then they finally found another building, and we have been there for the last several months until COVID hit, in which case we're meeting online now. But so the having to move every few months because we were rowdy was made it a little difficult. But I think we've kind of stabilized now. As far as the E-Club, I can't think of any unexpected things. I mean, I think our biggest challenge, I mean, it's an E-Club, no overhead. It really is simple. The biggest thing for us now is to grow beyond where we are at the moment as far as attracting new people to Rotary.
What advice would you give to a club or someone considering starting an e-club or a cause-based type club through Rotary?
Right. I think, like anything in Rotary, you need to do some sort of community assessment. What are the needs? I mean, this club literally came to me. People were clamoring for a response from the district. It was easy for me to see the need and to meet it. We are exploring 7 other concepts within the district for other satellites, and some of them have been almost as easy as this one. People are latching onto the idea. The person leading the charge has a good network of people that have a similar desire to focus on the particular cause. And there are other things that we're dealing with on paper that just aren't getting very much traction. So, you know, we'll probably consider these for a while, but if it's like pulling teeth, I think we need to figure out a different way to attract people to Rotary. So I think you have to try a lot of things, and you have to be intentional about listening to your potential audience and, you know, and responding to their needs.
So a couple of questions that I have is, I think that all the information you've given us so far has been just phenomenal and gives people a lot of opportunity to really participate in different ways and start new clubs and engage new people. The questions I have are, do you see the Social Justice Club as an opportunity to get more people of color involved in Rotary? I know my club in particular, and even other clubs in my area and even my district, really struggle in reaching people of color to come serve with us. Do you see this as an opportunity to reach some of those folks?
Yeah, I'm going to give you my broader perspective on satellites in general on
Okay.
this question. I started my own club as a satellite. I also, as district governor, was involved tangentially with starting another club in an underserved geography in our community, and then this E-Club. So my own club, we started basically with contacts through the Chamber of Commerce and the town leadership. Our membership, I haven't checked lately, but our membership when we chartered was literally 50-50 male-female. I was by far and away the oldest individual in the club. Our average age was in the mid-upper 40s, and we were 40% people of color. It absolutely reflected the community, and our base of professions is very broad. Everything from auto repair to an attorney to dental hygienist. I mean, you know, really a broad swath of the community. So that, I believe, has been very, very helpful. And I think that's one of the beauties of a satellite club. without our traditions or the existing culture, you can create a culture that is welcoming to anyone and everyone. So that's my own initial club, Satellite. The other club that I was involved with as district governor was formed in an African American section of the town. And it got up and running very quickly. And the last I was there, they started as Satellite with more than 8 people. I don't remember precisely how many, perhaps a dozen. All but one was African American. All but one was female. And so it was an unusual demographic, but it was also reflective of the community in which they were meeting. And this club actually also has a real strong social justice focus, though that is not their name, but it is because they're in an area of gentrification and exorbitant housing prices and homelessness and food insecurity and things that an urban area is often dealing with. So the people that joined this club are the movers and shakers that are attached to that area of the community. So quite different from the norm as far as the way Rotary clubs typically look, but absolutely appropriate for that geography. The Social Justice Club, on the other hand, we started predominantly female, predominantly white. We now, a few weeks in, are getting some more people of color. We're still predominantly female, not exclusively. We're also older, not exclusively. But again, the demographic is quite different. It's perhaps because these are the people that have time to address the issue. I do not know. I have not sat back to analyze why this is the group that we attracted, but we are becoming more diverse as we're going on week to week. We have more than one guy now.
Which that in itself is a pretty good shift for a Rotary Club, right? I mean,
right.
You go to a lot, and it's typically male.
Yeah.
So it's really great to see that and hear that. One more question, and then we'll get this wrapped up.
Okay.
So, did you have any pushback as far as starting a social justice club from anybody that thought Rotary shouldn't be political, and they felt that it might be either taking a political stance or making a statement or any of that kind of thing? And how would you encourage somebody to address that if they felt the need to start a satellite or an e-club or something that may have some tinge of politic to it, not necessarily saying it's an elephant or a donkey, Rotary Club, but an element of that could be perceived. Any thoughts on that?
Oh, yes. I certainly have received some pushback without question. As district governor, one of the things you learn is a little bit about the Rotary system and the governance documents that we have. So one of the first things I did even before we got started is I pulled out the Rotary Code of Policies. And this document is perfect if you have insomnia. It's got about 490 pages. The beauty of this document is that it's PDF and you can search it. So I searched it for political or politics. And basically Rotary says, as a club, we cannot issue political partisan statements. So I can't say, as the Rotary Club for Social Justice, you should vote for XYZ, be it a person or a bond issue or whatever. We cannot have a political statement. It doesn't say anything about, can we have political discussions within our meeting? We're still being careful about that, by the way. I mean, we aren't, even within the meetings, I mean, occasionally it'll come up quickly, but we are trying to stay focused on the issues at hand, not a particular party's take on that issue. So as long as a club is not saying to a government or to an individual, you should do X, Y, Z, I think we're in good shape. The other thing to think about, Rotary has been in the business of eradicating polio for decades and decades now. In order for Rotary to be successful with that, They must work with governments. It is political. They're not taking a stand other than to say we want to save children from this deadly disease. So Rotary skirts that issue all the time. And our whole Peace Center program is about peace and conflict resolution, which of course butts up against political issues all the time.
What a great answer. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that, and also I appreciate your time, and your dedication to Rotary. I think sometimes when people reach the pinnacle of district governor, they feel like that they've done their time, and then they'll come back and hopefully they'll continue to go to their Rotary meetings, and you've proven beyond that. You're doing more. You're continuing to push the envelope and continue to make Rotary a better organization. So thank you for that, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Andy. Very kind. Enjoyed it, by the way, much more than I thought.